The courtroom was a cold, unforgiving place, the fluorescent lights overhead casting an unforgiving glare. Marcus sat stiffly, his eyes fixed on his ex-wife Sarah as she presented her case. The air was thick with tension, the weight of their past relationship hanging precariously in the balance. The judge's voice cut through the silence, his words dripping with a sense of routine. "So, Mr. Marcus, you're denying paternity of the child?" Marcus nodded, his jaw clenched in frustration. "Yes, Your Honor. I've had my doubts from the beginning." Sarah's face twisted in anger, her voice rising. "How can you deny your own child? You're just trying to avoid responsibility." The judge raised an eyebrow, his expression skeptical. "Let's take a look at the evidence. A DNA test will determine paternity once and for all." As the court proceedings continued, Marcus couldn't help but wonder what other secrets Sarah might be hiding. Little did he know the DNA test would reveal more than just paternity. The days passed, and the anticipation of the DNA test results hung over Marcus like a dark cloud. He couldn't shake the feeling that his life was about to take a drastic turn. Finally, the day arrived. Marcus and Sarah sat in the courtroom, their eyes locked in a mixture of anger and anxiety. The judge entered, and the court clerk handed him a sealed envelope containing the DNA test results. The judge opened the envelope, scanned the contents, and cleared his throat. "The DNA test results indicate that Marcus is not the biological father of the child." The courtroom fell silent, the only sound the stunned gasps of those present. Sarah's face turned white, her eyes wide with shock and fear. "How is this possible?" the judge asked, his voice firm but curious. Sarah hesitated, her voice barely above a whisper. I don't know what to say." The courtroom erupted into chaos, with Marcus's lawyer demanding an explanation and Sarah's lawyer seizing the opportunity to salvage what was left. But Marcus's mind was elsewhere. He was thinking about the implications of the DNA test results. Who was the real father? And why had Sarah lied about paternity? The questions swirled in his head, and he knew that this was just the beginning of a much larger story. As the courtroom chaos subsided, the judge's voice cut through the noise, demanding order. "Enough! We'll reconvene when everyone has had a chance to process this revelation." Marcus stood up, his eyes locked on Sarah. "You lied to me," he said, his voice low and even. "You used me for years, and now I find out I'm not even the father." Sarah's eyes welled up with tears, but Marcus wasn't having it. "Don't even try to explain," he said, turning his back on her. "I don't want to hear it." As Marcus walked out of the courtroom, he couldn't help but wonder what other secrets Sarah might be hiding. And what would happen next? Would he finally get the truth, or would more lies and deception follow? Meanwhile, Sarah was left standing alone, her world crumbling around her. She knew she had to face the consequences of her actions, but she was scared of what might happen next. Would she lose everything she had worked for? Would she be able to rebuild her life? The uncertainty hung in the air, as the two former lovers went their separate ways, each facing an uncertain future. Sarah's world was crumbling around her, and she knew she had to face the music. She had lied to Marcus, used him for financial gain, and now she was paying the price. As she walked out of the courtroom, she was met with a surprise. Alex, the real father of her child, was waiting for her. His expression was stern, and his eyes were filled with anger. "You're finally caught," he said, his voice low and menacing. "You've been lying to everyone, including yourself. It's time to take responsibility for your actions." Sarah felt a surge of fear mixed with anger. "You have no right to judge me," she spat. "You've been avoiding responsibility for our child all this time." Alex's expression didn't change. "I'm not avoiding anything," he said calmly. "I'm just not willing to be tied down to a manipulative woman like you." The argument escalated, with both parties exchanging heated words. But in the end, it was clear that Sarah would have to face the consequences of her actions alone. As Alex walked away, Sarah was left standing alone, her world in shambles. She knew she had to pick up the pieces and start over. But would she be able to rebuild her life and find redemption? Sarah's world was in shambles. She had lost Marcus, Her reputation was tarnished, and she was left to care for her child alone. The weight of her mistakes was crushing her. As she looked at her child, she felt a pang of guilt and regret. She had made so many mistakes, and now she was paying the price. But as she gazed into her child's eyes, she saw a glimmer of hope. She knew she had to be strong for her child, to provide a better life and make amends for her past mistakes. With newfound determination, Sarah started to rebuild her life. She found a job, started taking care of her child, and slowly began to piece together the fragments of her shattered world. It wouldn't be easy, but Sarah was determined to make a better life for herself and her child. She knew she had a long way to go, but she was ready to face the challenges ahead. As she looked to the future, Sarah knew that she would always carry the scars of her past mistakes. But she also knew that she had the strength to overcome them and build a brighter future for herself and her child. Years had passed since the courtroom drama. Sarah had worked hard to rebuild her life, and she had made significant progress. She was a devoted mother to her child, and she had found a sense of purpose and fulfillment. Marcus, on the other hand, had moved on with his life. He had found love again and was living a happy and fulfilling life. As for Alex, he had taken responsibility for his child and was working hard to build a relationship with him. The story of Sarah, Marcus, and Alex served as a reminder that people can make mistakes, but it's never too late to learn from them and make amends. It also showed that with determination and hard work, people can overcome even the most difficult challenges and build a better future for themselves and their loved ones. The end.